What's up guys, welcome back to more Reddit stories about Karens, entitled people, and all that kind of stuff. Hope you're all doing awesome today, and as usual, we'll be checking out some more Reddit posts. So be sure to share your thoughts about today's stories down in the comments, and let's get into it. I had my yard certified as a national wildlife habitat to spite a busybody neighbor. Our yard is wild. I mean that in the real definition of living or growing in the natural environment. We have no lawn. We aggressively remove and prevent invasive and noxious species of plants, and ensure that what grows is native to our area and drought resistant. The wildflowers that grow are things like lupin, blue flax, spiderwort, black-eyed Susan, and sunflowers, among others. We have natural elements like driftwood logs to retain water, and we even have an elk skull in the yard to act as a shelter for critters. There are a plethora of birds, bees, bunnies, and other wildlife. More wildlife than any yard in the area as far as I can tell. It's beautiful and alive, but definitely not a manicured lawn with perfectly cut grass and landscaping. Last summer, we got a notice from the county that our yard was in violation of some county ordinance. My husband called the number on the notice and got a very over-it employee who let out a big sigh and said he had gotten like 30 complaints from one person for the entire strip of road that we live on. Keep in mind, you can't batch report an area. You have to file reports house by house. So someone had the time and energy to pull up Google Maps and file a report for about 30 houses for overgrown weeds. I checked the county ordinance and made sure everything we had in our yard was in compliance. Things like purposely cultivated, which our wildflowers definitely were. We planted specific species of seeds and we remove whatever's not native. None of the wild plants block any sidewalks, nor do they hang over onto any other properties. Now, knowing that it was someone with way too much time on their hands, I did some reading and learned that my yard has everything needed and then some to qualify as a national wildlife habitat. So I filled out the form, paid the fee, and got my certificate. My husband called the county employee back who said, "Send me that certificate." He looked it over, thanked my husband for the new information he can use in the future, and closed our case. I now have signs on my yard that announce the property is a wildlife habitat, and the birds and bees get to keep living happily in the wild. Edit. Let me clear a couple things up. The county doesn't have HOA-style restrictions. They're pretty fast and loose with the ordinances. The certificate and sign simply shows that the wildness is intentional, and not just a neglected yard. It offers no legal protection, and I never claimed it did. The county employee liked that he had something to show in the event someone keeps complaining. So far, we haven't had any more issues, and it's been over a year. I don't really worry about the resale value because I want to live in my house in a manner that brings me joy. I can easily reverse anything we've done if I need to sell for some reason. The house is paid off though, so not likely to do that anytime soon. Imagine hating nature so much that you go out of your way to make 30 different reports to the county, just because people in the neighborhood dare to have non-traditional yards. I wore a suit to work and got my supervisor soft-demoted. I'm posting mainly because I'm not a passive-aggressive type and I'm in disbelief that this actually worked. Ever since I started at my job a few months ago, my supervisor, we'll call him Josh, has been micromanaging me. When I'm the subject of criticism, which is often, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt and ask him to clarify. What are your expectations? What specifically should I have done differently? Josh's responses are always vague, often something to the effect of, "Just do better." I even had a meeting with Josh and HR to handle this, but to no avail. Yesterday, Josh comes to my desk to tell me I need to dress better. Now, I work at a small company, and the vibe is unusually casual. A not insignificant number of people come to work wearing jeans, hoodies, t-shirts, and/or baseball caps. I have never worn a hat to work, and I make a point of wearing a button-up shirt with a collar every day. This particular day I was wearing a long-sleeve button-up flannel, chino pants, and Adidas Gazelles. Other days I wear loafers and dress shirts that are tucked in. So I asked Josh to clarify. Should I be wearing dress shoes, dress shirt, tucked in? What specifically do you want me to change? Josh tells me I just need to dress better and that I should talk to HR for clarification. So I go into HR and ask, what is the dress code? I get a standard answer. Pants, closed-toed shoes, no sleeveless shirts, etc. I ask, have I ever worn anything to work that poses a problem? HR says no, you're fine. Because I'm mad and because my repeated efforts to resolve this kind of problem had gone unheeded, I decided to be petty. The next day, today, I showed up to work in a full suit. It's one I keep for events like weddings, so it's fitted and I look really sharp in it. It's also wildly and conspicuously overdressed for the office I work in. I had several interactions with people coming to my desk to comment on my outfit and ask what the occasion was. When anyone asked, only if they asked, I told them I had been told to dress better. This was always met with disbelief and incredulity. 2 people even said they liked the way I dress normally. When anyone asked me who the order came from, again, only if they asked, I told them it came from Josh. I was expecting to pull my little stunt for a week just to prove a point, and then go back to wearing what I had been wearing before. Word got around the office fast, apparently, because the CEO, Josh's direct boss, came to my desk later in the day to tell me I would be reporting to him now, and that he'd be having a talk with Josh about this and other issues. It's important to note that I was Josh's only underling, so he effectively went from being a supervisor to just a regular employee. I'm on a bit of a high right now. I think I'm going to come into work tomorrow wearing a different one of my flannels. Next door neighbors claiming a chunk of our property as theirs. We bought our first home last October. Next door neighbors claim it was their family's place, but previous owners were unrelated. They watch me closely and through their windows, give a cold shoulder and yell and scream at each other when I'm in view, not mentioning the dogs barking non-stop if my head is in view. My husband just avoids going to the second half of our property because of them. They have cameras everywhere and watch everything. I planted small trees and native shrubs along an obvious-looking property boundary line with T-posts and along the street. Neighbor came out yelling at me, saying I was digging up her family's dead dogs and animals. I blocked her path for her to come through our property that they drive their four-wheelers through. They have been taking our gravel, saying it was theirs, and continue to bury their dead animals, graves, ashes, and flowers for them on our property. Looking for a gentle privacy, I checked in with them, planted things, and then got yelled at, saying her grandma's crying. They had to contact all her family. I ruined her birthday. She's gotta be in her 60s, guessing, and guy in 50s? They are manic, emotional, and I'm convinced are meth users. She said she will shoot my dog if it gets on her property. She yelled and scolded my dog this morning when she came onto my property from hers, yelling. I've been planning on having a modest fenced area for a chicken coop, but knew better and am scared of their reactions. She threatened and said she's ripping everything out that I planted, made me cry and would not stop for over an hour. We are house poor, husband's out of work in June, and are pretty sad and upset about the dispute and their behavior, not to mention scared. They are controlling, tell me where to do and not to do on my property. Now they insist me not do anything, be or plant within 50 feet of our property near them. I mentioned privacy and a fence at the beginning when we first got here, and she raised hell, saying no way, you're not doing that. They want to keep it open for themselves to hunt and drag dying game they shoot across our property. I spent a few weeks planting everything. They are pretty controlling and hostile when things don't align their way. I was literally shaking each time I was within view of their land, finally worked up the courage to do it, and then this happens. We've been more than generous and kind to them. I'm going to take plants out tomorrow into pots away from them. Planning on putting a privacy fence up on our property line after survey bordering the bad neighbors. Yeah, it's definitely your best bet to get the survey done and get fences up immediately. It's the kind of people that you're just not going to be able to reason with. I would also be pretty concerned about retaliation and the kind of things they might pull once you do get the fence put up, but it is still better to put up the fence than do nothing at all. Because, come on, they seem to think that they still have some sort of right to your property for whatever reason, to the point that they're burying dead animals on it. What the hell, man? My neighbor is weirdly pushy about selling her a thrifted rocking chair I just bought. I, 27, just bought my house in July 2024. I think these neighbors are 60s plus, and are very nosy and ornery that young families are moving into the neighborhood in recent years. They will just walk up to you and tell you this. I have been shopping thrift and estate sales to furnish this cute house. This morning I came home from an estate sale with a beautiful wing-backed rocking chair. It needs to be reupholstered as the leather that was on it is in terrible condition, and the previous owner started pulling it off. I'm unloading it from the bed of my truck when neighbor, Carol, sticks her giraffe neck over the fence and starts squawking about how beautiful it is. I said thanks, I got it at an estate sale for $10. This triggered the parasites in her brain and she, I kid you not, teleported over to the truck. She starts going off about how much she needs a chair to rock her grandkids to sleep in, and how much she would appreciate it if it was hers. I told her I got it for my future babies to be rocked to sleep in, and that it still needs a lot of work before it can be used. Mind you, this chair is large and she is very small. This is when she starts offering me money, $15, because it's more than what you paid for it, then telling me I don't need it because I don't have kids yet, and her grandkids are only little for so long. After firmly telling her I wasn't interested in selling it, she offered me $20. I was standing in the bed of the truck looking down at her on the driveway and firmly said, "No, Carol, I'm really not interested in selling this. Please go home," and pointed to her side of the fence. Apparently, this was shouting at her and being aggressive. She ran home, and later in the day her husband said something to my husband as he was getting home from a game, telling him I spoke to her like a dog and was being a nasty neighbor and that my husband needs to straighten me out. Are my neighbors nuts? Was I that rude to her? Today I effed up by ordering a DNA test as a fun gift for my family and ended up destroying 40 years of family history. I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw one where some guy bought some ancestry kits to use with his family. It looked fun and a completely different thing compared to the usual gifts, and I recently hit a win on Rolling Riches, so I figured I'd buy some for my family members as a small little gift. I'm very into genealogy and figured we'd learn some cool stuff about our heritage. Fun fact before we continue, my mom's always been proud of her Irish roots from her dad's side. We ran them up and the results came back. My mom has 0% Irish DNA. Turns out her dad wasn't her biological father. I almost fainted. I literally just couldn't believe it. When we asked my 89-year-old grandmother who has dementia, she admitted to having an affair. She never told anyone for 65 years. I swear I thought this stuff only happens in movies because how the F did I end up experiencing this with my own family? My mom hasn't spoken to me in 3 weeks. She says I destroyed her identity. 3 weeks later and I still don't know why the F did I end up doing this. I wish I could go back in time and never do it. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you for watching. As always, I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. So take care, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in the next one.